Hello everyone, it's me Uncle John. Today I am going to read S3 3198 Spark by Rachel Tonkin. Characters: Isabel, Jeff. Chapter 1: In the Garden. Isabel Snow was helping her dad clean up the garden. Isabel's friend Jeff was helping too. Isabel's dad had the whipper snipper. He was cutting the long grass that grew around the fruit trees. Isabel and Jeff raked the grass into a big pile. Crack! Bang! Went the whipper snipper when it hit some stones. Suddenly tiny flames ran through the grass. They curled around Mr. Snow's feet. He stamped on the flames to put them out, but the little flames were too quick. As soon as he stamped on one flame, another flame appeared. "I'll grab the hose," Mr. Snow yelled. "Isabel, run and turn on the tap. Then tell your mother to call 911. Isabel and Jeff ran to turn on the tap. They ran as fast as they could. Isabel imagined the fire was chasing them. She imagined it growing big and fierce, like the forest fires on the TV news. She was breathing hard, and she wanted to cry. Isabel and Jeff reached the tap and turned it on. Isabel looked back at the fire. The little flames were no higher than her dad's boots, but they were creeping toward the house. The fire was very close to the shed. Isabel's dad soaked it with water. He was so busy saving the shed that he didn't notice the flames spreading across the lawn. The flames kept moving closer to the house. They were also creeping closer to the big pile of grass that Isabel and Jeff had raked. Smoke billowed up and hit Isabel's dad. The smoke was so thick that he couldn't see the flames reach the pile of grass. But Isabel and Jeff could see. They saw the pile flare up and then die down. They were terrified. Chapter 2: Mom! Fire! Isabel and Jeff ran up the steps and into the house. "Mom! Fire! Call the fire department!" Isabel shouted, but there was no answer. Mom, fire!" She shouted again. Isabel ran from room to room, but there was no one there, not even her little sister Clara. The house was empty. "There's a note on the kitchen table," Jeff called. "What does it say?" asked Isabel. "Clara and I went shopping. Be back in 15 minutes, Jeff yelled. Isabel was horrified. There was no time to run back to her dad. "What will we do?" yelled Jeff. Then he burst into tears. "There's no one else here," said Isabel. "We'll have to call 911 ourselves." Chapter 3: Calling for help. Isabel wrote down her address and handed it to Jeff. She took a deep breath and picked up the telephone. "Hey, listen to me as I talk, Jeff," she said. "I don't want to make a mistake." Isabel pressed the numbers carefully. Jeff watched closely as she dialed. Both of them watched the fire as they waited. The phone rang. It seemed to ring for a long time before it was answered, but it was only a few seconds. "There's a fire in our backyard," Isabel said. "My daddy is spraying it with water, but it's not going out." "What's your address?" the voice asked. 29 Gold Street, Glendale, Isabel told him. "Someone will be there in 5 minutes," said the voice. Isabel put down the phone. She could hear the sound of the sirens in the distance. Other people would hear them too. They would start going outside to look for smoke in the sky. People would wonder where the fire might be. Isabel thought about her mother. Would she see the smoke and rush home? Isabel hoped so. Jeff was staring out the window. The smoke was still thick and he couldn't see Isabel's dad. But he could see the flames coming closer and closer to the house. He was starting to panic. Jeff thought that the flames might reach the house before the firefighters arrived. Chapter 4: Young Firefighters. Jeff watched the fire creep closer. He was very frightened. "Isabel," he called, "we've got to do something. The fire is getting closer." The house will catch fire. Isabel took a quick look. Come on, she said to Jeff. I'm scared, said Jeff, but he followed Isabel. They ran out the front door and around to the side of the house. Isabel and Jeff found another hose there. Isabel turned on the tap and started running with the hose. The hose snagged on a tree. Jeff ran back and unhooked it. Snagged on a tree, Jeff ran back and unhooked it. Quick, Isabel, he said. Soak the grass so the fire can't get any closer. The two kids dragged the hose around to the backyard. Isabel sprayed the grass at the front edge of the fire. When the flames reached the wet grass, they sizzled and went out. Isabel kept spraying the lawn. Quick, Isabel, there's a spark behind you, Jeff yelled. Isabel turned. A small circle of flames was growing from where the spark landed on the grass. Isabel sprayed the water, and the flames went out. Isabel swung the hose around in wide sweeps across the lawn. Jeff watched for sparks. Whenever he called, Isabel quickly turned with the hose to put out the flames. Isabel and Jeff started coughing. The thick smoke made it hard to breathe. But Isabel kept spraying the grass, so the fire couldn't get any closer to the house. At last, Isabel and Jeff heard a fire truck roar up the hill with the sirens blaring. As soon as the fire truck stopped at the house, the firefighters got to work. They quickly rolled out big hoses and shouted orders to each other. When the firefighters turned on the water, it came out in a rush. They put out the fire quickly. Chapter 5, Heroes. Finally, the smoke cleared, and Isabel could see past the smoke. But thank goodness the fire is out. That was close, he said. Then he looked around. Where is your mother, Isabel? He asked. She went shopping, said Isabel. Her voice was hoarse. The smoke was still making her cough. Who called 911? Her dad asked. We did, Isabel replied. Really? Her father sounded amazed. That's fantastic. I'm very proud of you both. Then he coughed too. The fire chief walked up. Are you the two young people who called 911? He asked Isabel and Jeff. I hear you also kept the fire away from the house. If you want to join the fire department when you grow up, let me know, he added. The fire chief looked at Isabel, Jeff, and Mr. Snow. Now, he said, the three of you must go to the hospital. The fire chief smiled at them all. If you don't clear your lungs, you could be coughing for months. We can have that, can we? You can follow the fire truck to the hospital, said the fire chief. First, let me take a photo of the kids, said the man with the camera. Why? Asked Isabel. You are heroes. I'm putting your picture on the front page of tomorrow's paper. Isabel and Jeff grinned at each other. Wow, said Isabel. The end.